smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. Old Virginia.
This podcast is brought to you by the Kansas City Barbecue Store, the official provider of barbecue supplies to listeners of Pitmaster. And you don't want to miss out on this discount from the Kansas City Barbecue Store. From smokers and fuel to rubs and sauces, the Kansas City Barbecue Store has everything and anything you could possibly want. Make the Kansas City Barbecue Store your one-stop shop for all your outdoor cooking needs. As a listener of the OVS Pitmaster podcast, you can get 10% off of your order this spring by using the code PITPOD, P-I-T-P-O-D, all caps, for online orders at www.thekansascitybarbecuestore.com.
Well, we've already started, so welcome to another edition of Pitmaster and Old Virginia Spot Podcast. If my producer leaves that beginning part, then you get a little vision into our riffs, because I had hit record when that all started. But I'm going to go ahead and take that out next. We don't need that stuff out there.
No.
I have a co-host with me this weekend, somebody who's been on the show several times already. This is Mr. Brian Corbett with Smokin Skullies. How are you, my friend?
Doing good, buddy. Always good to be here, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, we were going to do a live one this weekend, but it turns out that cell service and noise are all big problems at an airport when you're cooking on a runway. So we weren't able to accomplish that, but we figured we'd regroup here at the beginning of this week, and we do have some questions that we got to answer, but we had a pretty fun weekend, didn't we?
Man, I'm going to tell you, Luke, you're absolutely correct, by the way. When you got, 30, 40, $50 million private jets taking off and landing, 300 yards from you, it does make it difficult for a live podcast. But yeah, all in all, fantastic weekend. By far and away, my favorite barbecue Friday ever. Don't see it being topped. I don't know how it could be topped. I really don't. For a Friday, can't be topped.
I know. And those of you that are listening a lot know that I've started playing a lot of golf on Friday mornings at contests. And this was the first time that I got to go with Brian. And the organizer and the fine people who helped put on the event, particularly a shout out to our new friend, Eric Carrier. He was able to get Brian and I out on Pinehurst number 6 on Friday morning.
Unbelievable.
It was an unbelievable golf course. We will discuss other things that happened on that morning, sure, later here. Well, let's get it out. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Brian is a cheater. He's 5 handicap. I'm an 8 handicap. And he was able to get a shot out of me somehow and then proceeded to shoot 76 with a 1 under on the back nine, besting me by 12 shots. So,
all right. So there's nothing about that says cheater, by the way. So I'm not a cheater.
Sandbagger, maybe.
Better salesperson. I convinced you to give me a shot.
Wow. I can't argue that. Anyway, it was a fun round to watch because he did shoot 1 under on the back nine and played some of the most exceptional golf that I've got to see, especially on a course that was special like that. And then our host, Eric, Mr. Carrier, took us over to the main Pinehurst clubhouse and through some sort of witchcraft was able to get us onto the Cradle, which is a 9-hole par 3 course, nice party atmosphere right out behind the clubhouse. And Scully and I just giggled the whole time we were playing that.
Oh, we were just like 2 kids at Christmas. Looked like we just robbed a candy store. I mean, whatever, saying you can put on that. It was ridiculous. We didn't even keep score. We're missing greens, missing putts. We're just smiling and laughing the whole time. Yeah, it was fantastic.
And then got to have lunch in the Pinehurst clubhouse and
on the member side.
Back on the member side and went back to the contest, and even we were both behind and didn't care, and we basically had already just GC'd. So,
oh yeah, Absolutely. I mean, it's just what a day. I know there's going to be other Barbecue Friday rounds of golf somewhere, but I just have a hard time seeing them match that one. That's an awfully high bar that's been set, but that's okay. I understand that, so I won't be disappointed on the next one.
Yeah, probably our most upset listeners are going to be Top Gun and Chunky,
Yeah,
as they're both part of the golf gang, and I know John was trying to get into this contest and didn't, and he's going to be pretty mad when he hears where we got to play. Which
maybe
is
next
amusing.
year, John.
Maybe next year, Johnny. So yeah, then we had this awesome first time contest in Pinehurst, North Carolina. They did have some power issues and everything, but the entire community rallied around the event. And the people who were the sponsors of this event basically woke up half of Pinehurst on Saturday morning, got all the power fixed up. And we both had pretty good days.
We did have pretty good days, I'd say so. You had an exceptional cook. I could tell that by watching you cook on Saturday morning. I was like, he's kind of locked into one here. Just all the signs of on a good one were showing. Now that doesn't always come to fruition in the judges' tent, but that's the part that we can control. I could tell you were having a good one.
And okay, so I'm going to just ask you the question. What are the key indicators that I'm having a good cook?
Oh, let's see here. Well, a lot of people are going to say that, it's the dancing and the different things and all that. I mean, you kind of do that pretty much everywhere you go, but it was just I don't want to say it wasn't that you weren't paying attention to your pit and the fire and all that, but you weren't worried about it. Like you could just tell that things over at the Jambo were just doing what they were supposed to do without Luke having to fret over it, work over it. Why is my pork behind where it normally is or ahead or whatever? It was just, you spent a lot of time in the, what I call the courtyard there between me, you, Redneck, and Mutts. And I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, I put that piece of wood over there propped up against your door. It was there for, 40 minutes before you found it. And I was like, oh, yeah, homeboy's locked in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we finished up with second place ribs, second place pork, third place overall.
Mm-hmm.
Super happy with those results, especially getting called in our two worst meats traditionally. And you won brisket. I knew we swapped meat. I think that's the first time we've ever swapped meat.
First time we've ever swapped meat. You did not have any chicken left. I think Eric ate you last 2 pieces of chicken.
He did.
But that's the only thing. You ate mine, but I didn't get a chance to eat yours. But yeah, all the other three we did swap.
You put your brisket in my trailer, and I took a bite of it, and I went, well, we ain't winning brisket. Kim took a bite of it, and she went, damn. And I was like, yeah, that's done. That's done. But you were sixth overall, and we got to show out a little bit for our new friends down there in Pinehurst.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they loved it.
We also had a great time with the People's Choice portion, which it's a little extra work, but you and I were right beside each other, giving each other shit the whole time, and it was a good time.
It was. I normally don't like to do the People's Choice, especially when we have to serve it. And it's not because I'm better than that or too good for it. It's if it's after brisket like that, you're just tired. Man, we've been up since 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you just give out. You got to clean up, and then you got to spend an hour and a half doing that on top of it. Usually takes some of the fun out of it, and certainly eliminates a little bit of nap time. But that was actually a pile of fun with us being able to be there right beside each other and kind of heckling back and forth and do a little dancing in between, and it was cool. It was a lot of fun. We made the most of it, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And I think that us as cooks are going to have to be more responsive and more participatory in this moving forward, or we're going to keep losing contests. I just think it's going to be a point of emphasis moving forward.
Well, People's Choice, as you talk to organizers, and People's Choice is a pretty good profit center for them, and that's what helps keep them around. So you're exactly right. And I don't mind doing it. I love it when we do People's Choice and we can just turn it in and they've got, kind of a volunteers tent where the people can just walk down the line and they're numbered 1 through 34 or whatever teams are there. I'll do that 100% of the time.
Absolutely.
It's the serving sometimes that can be a little bit much. And that depends on my schedule too. If I have to get out of there on a Saturday, to get back for my son's soccer games or something along that line, then I can't do it. But if I'm going to stay on Saturday night, then if that's what I got to do to help contest stay around, then I don't mind dropping that hour on them.
Absolutely. And, I would argue that I probably might not have won People's Choice if I hadn't have been the one served. So.
Yeah, very well could. That very well could be true. Absolutely. That experience that we gave the people, was, they got better. I dare say they got better experience between our 2 sites than they got between any other 2 sites at the contest.
I would agree. And that's not us being cocky either. No. We just had a damn good time.
We had a lot of fun. We were engaging. They were engaging with us. We were all joking back and forth. It was just a lot of fun. Yeah, there's not cocky there. It was just a lot of fun, and we made it fun for the participants. And
I will be referring to myself as the people's champion of barbecue at Pinehurst all week while I'm down here for my golf trip. So it'll be good.
You should. The people's champion.
All right, let's crack out some of these questions that we owe our listeners because so Justin Holt asked, he'd like to know what our current handicap is. Mine is an 8.8. I don't know what yours is, but I'm sure it had to have come down a touch.
Let me see. Let me pull it up.
Live information, folks, live.
It's got to update. Hang on.
I know it's a lot of calculations to go from those high numbers you're putting into sweet little 4 over at Pinehurst number 6.
Well,
And also, folks, just to let you know, Brian was 5 over after 5 holes and shot 4 over.
Yeah, it's 5 over after 5 holes and played the last 13 1 under. Yeah.
Yeah. And bogeyed 18. Also important.
And bogeyed 18, that's right.
Yeah, there's some good questions here. There's some questions that are
6.2. It's got to be at a
6.2.
6.2. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, also as a result of this, I think you'll be seeing the character make an appearance at the American Royal this year on the Thursday night party. So I'm just going to keep that a little under wraps. So it's a surprise for everybody. But when you lose bets, you got to pay up.
That's right.
All right. Jay Craig has a question. He would like a rundown of our best kept secrets to success, as well as both mine and yours.
Ooh, best kept secrets for success. Well, obviously, and not because Jay is asking this question, but really having a good pit that you have learned and you've cooked on a ton of times. And I don't care what it is. Obviously, I cook on one of Jay's Outlaws. You cook on a Jambo, but I don't care if it's the drums, home built, bought, pellet grills. Understanding your pit and understanding it not only in ideal weather situations, but in less than ideal weather situations, and how that affects your pit and your meat, I think are a large key to success.
Absolutely. And I would say, it's pretty hard for me to answer this question because I'm kind of an open book on this podcast. I kind of infer a lot of what I do and a lot of what makes me do a good job. But best kept secrets are probably taking it easy Friday night and getting a full night of sleep.
That's right. That's a great one. You see a lot of teams that stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in the elbow deep in the Yeti cooler sitting off to the side, and that usually doesn't bode well for a very vibrant Saturday morning.
No, getting into that brown liquor too can cause some problems. Not problems because I love to have a good time, but I need to be in the rack by 9. And I was in the rack by 9. I've had a few drinks with friends, but in the rack by 9. Now I didn't get my full allotment of sleep because of the generator problems, but got up at 3 and went out there, and Mutt's out there trying to fix the generator, and I was like, well, I ain't going back to bed. Nothing like trying to kill people wearing a CPAP machine when the power dies out.
I can only picture that.
It's no good. It's like being punched in the throat.
You know that. So in the bed by 9, and what we just talked about. I mean, that brings the I don't know if it's a kept secret. It's not really a secret, But I see a lot of teams that week to week they try. I call it tricking the judges. They try to trick the judges. They'll cook a contest and might do decent, and then the very next contest they're adding a teaspoon or a tablespoon of this to a rub or a sauce or a finish powder or a wrap, and and it's like, you just finished 4th overall out of 30 teams. Why? Well, I just you try, man. No, don't stick. Find a program that works for you. Find a program that you believe in. Find a program that's consistent, and stick with it. Now, if you start to see a pattern, say 5, 6, 7 contests in one area,
right.
Don't revamp the whole thing. Step back and look at your process. And I bet you there's probably something that you have forgotten or something that you have inadvertently changed over that 5 or 6 week period, contest period, that you can go back and go, I forgot to do X, or,
right.
I changed butters. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? But, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of
sure.
thing. That kind of thing can matter. So that's the biggest kept secret. Find a program, find a pit, learn both of them, and stick with it.
Especially when you get a result. You get it into the top 10. At that point, it's pretty subjective as to whether you finish 9th or 1st.
100%.
So you got
a lot of times it's less than 5 total points.
Exactly, especially in the smaller meats, ribs and chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone always freaks out. They're like, I didn't get a chicken call. I'm like, if you're not going to get a call in a category, that's the one I'm going to call it. We were, I think, 14th of chicken and something, still had a 171. So we weren't out the game.
Yeah, I was 7th in chicken with a 174.4. And I'll be and I am nowhere near good enough to find 5.66 points. No. Just cook that same chicken, get it on a different table next time.
Right. Yeah, I hear you there.
This podcast is brought to you by BarbecueData.com. BarbecueData.com is your one-stop shop for all of your barbecue competition data. Historical data, calls, wins, placements, everything under one roof. It's a great way not only to track yourself in the standings, but also to track how you improve your scores from year to year. Listeners of this podcast can receive 20% off of a new subscription to BarbecueData.com with the code PITPOD. That's one word, all capital letters, PITPOD, PITPOD. So check your team scores, check on others, and do it all on BarbecueData.com.
Let's get into a couple of these other questions here. I don't think opening that one is a good... Well, get there in a minute. So John from Grandpa Val's, how much time do you allow yourself to box? And do you take the heat of the food into account? I'll go ahead. I'll go first on this one. I generally... Our program is built around the concept of at 11:35, it's go time. At that point, I would love to be saucing chicken, having things going, getting the sauce set, getting the box ready, finishing the chicken, and having, giving Kim plenty of time to start the day off right in those first last 5 minutes before turn in. Get the thing exactly where she is, put us right in the zone. That is a big thing. In terms of taking the heat out of taking the heat of the food into account, sure. But also, and this isn't mine, this is Tuffy Stone's, he's said it for years, your food has to eat well cold.
Well, absolutely.
You have no idea what's going to happen when it gets onto that table. You hear stories about reps they'll take the first 6 trays and they'll put them in, or they're already doing stuff with trays and stacking them differently. You don't know how long your food's going to sit there. You're never going to know how long your food's going to sit there. So trying to game that system, to me, it's a lot better to spend your time on making sure your food is good and it eats well cold. I'm generally, in terms of boxing, I want Kim to have at least 7 to 10 minutes for each category before the window opens. But we're also tasting a lot and, deciding how we're going to finish in that last 10 minutes, which is more and more, I think, the ultimate key to success in this game. So those are kind of our thoughts around it. That's kind of what we do. I love to try and keep food as hot as I can. I do use the pizza stones that are heated up and keep them under the cutting board. Again, how much of an effect that has, I don't know. But what about you?
Yeah, I don't use the pizza stones. It's something I've considered in the past. It's just one more step. I'm typically by myself these days. My wife and my son don't get a chance to come with me that much anymore. He's in school. She's working on Fridays and whatnot. So that the pizzas, and it's a mild step, but it's just one more step. So I don't typically do that, but I do utilize my Cambro, so I don't pull the meat out of the Cambro if it's in there, until I am ready to start working on it. But I'm like you, 11:35 for me is just a little bit early. I'm more of an 11:40-ish kind of person to start on my chicken. But I only cook 9 pieces. And so I don't have as much to go through as most people do. But I want my food to be warm or hot whenever I'm building my box. But also, if it's not steaming going into the box, I don't worry about it because it does have to eat good cold. And a lot of times I'll try my ribs and I'll try, some other stuff. But when I get back from turning in a box, whether I've tried it or not, I will always sample a piece when I get back to the trailer. It's been sitting out on the cutting board 5, 6, 7 minutes. And most of the time, that's whenever I determine whether I've had a good cook in that category or not. If it's been sitting out on the cutting board 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes or longer, and it still eats well, the flavor profile is not going to change. It's just a matter of the tenderness. And if it still eats well at that point, then I feel like I've got a decent chance to finish in the top 10 in that category.
Yeah.
But I don't monitor the temperature while it's inside the Cambro or say, oh, my brisket's 180. Now's the perfect time to slice. No, I don't do that.
No, that's too much.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Luke Leggett, Tire Smoke asked, ritual or habit that not even Kim knows about? We're probably not going to answer this. Probably just not going to answer this. That's fine. I do wake up in the morning, and the first thing I do is lay there for 5 minutes, and I do a gratitude exercise where I think about all the things that have happened to me in barbecue that are really great things. I think about all the great people that we've met, all the opportunities barbecue's given to me, and I fill myself with gratitude, and I get a big smile on my face, and then I pop out of bed and I light the pit.
That's pretty cool.
It sort of tries. It sets my mind right. And more, sometimes everyone talks about mental health, and it's a big deal. And I think that's a big step of that. You got to see something this weekend from me that I don't think has ever happened before, but I turned in pork and I kind of lost my shit a little bit. And, and Kim had to do like a calm down exercise with me in the trailer because it scared me. It scared me what I did with that Compar Duroc pork this weekend. It was really good. Hadn't had a pork box like that in a while, and I don't know why it fazed me like it did, but it did. So
I almost walked out of the trailer when I ate that piece of money muscle, and that was a piece that didn't go in the box, and I almost just turned and walked right out because I can be superstitious on saying things. And when somebody says, "Oh man, you won brisket today," or "That was so good," like I'm funny about that. And I almost turned and walked out, but I couldn't. I mean, it was that damn good. I mean, that pork you cooked was that freaking good. And I was just like, "Yep." And I'm not going to brag, but I called it. You
did. You said first or second.
That was the only two options for that pork. First or second. And that was not meaning it was in category with mine, because mine was not that good.
All right. We have Sterling Smith asked a question about, do I know a good place to get a tattoo? That's a weird question, but
Smitty.
Old Smitty, yeah, he mentioned out in Fargo when we went and done the Shields thing that he had a Superman tattoo somewhere in his lower body. I kind of demanded to see it. So he showed it to me. Yeah. Tim Malloy wants another shirt, but you're going to have to wait on that. But I will get you one sometime soon. Here's another good question before we have one last story from this weekend that we have to tell.
Okay.
And I did not include it in my post because it needs to be told and you need to be present for its telling. So Heath Bletziker asked, 135 yards out. Now, are you ready? You're going to have to take all this into your brain.
Oh, this is a golf question. Okay. All right.
Yes. We got very few barbecue questions with plenty of golf questions.
Let's do it.
135 yards out, 17 mile per hour wind left to right. Early morning dew is still present. The sun is in your face. The pin location is front left of a tiered green, nestled annoyingly behind a bunker. Your opponent, who is an old friend, is dancing already and looking at an easy birdie putt. He's going to make a comment or four if you screw this up. So what are you pulling out of the bag on that shot?
Ooh. In the fairway, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And a good lie. Okay. Left to right wind, 17 miles an hour. I'm going to pull a 9-iron. I hit either a straight ball or a slight fade as my standard. When I say a slight, it's just kind of a fall fade as my little standard shot. So I try not to aim at trouble, i.e. that bunker he talks about, and work it away from it. But if my partner's in tight, I'm on, did he say the 17th hole, or is that just the miles per hour?
No, there was no hole, but let's say this is a consequential hole, yeah.
Then I'm going to probably do something I wouldn't normally do and aim at that bunker and let the wind kind of ride it to the pin. If my miss is to the middle of the green, that's not bad either. But I don't want to aim at the middle of the green and push it to the right. So I'm taking a 9-iron. I'm sawing that baby off.
I'm probably going to hit a baby 8 or choke 8-iron, which I know that I'm going to draw a little bit. And I'm going to play it right of the flag and let it ride that wind all the way back there. Again, we'll see.
Yeah.
I hope we have that shot sometime in the very near future. But that's what I'm going pin hunting. If somebody's in on me tight and I'm down 2, I'm going after it.
Well, you have to. You have to. If you're late in the round, you got to.
Yeah. So if you listen to the podcast, you know that one of the things that I'm known for that I like to do is I like to sneak into other people's trailers, take a poop, call it a ghost poop.
Okay.
And it's not out of malice. It's not a terrorist act because I am very polite and I don't make a mess. It's just the concept that I got in there and did that kind of can get at people. So I've had a target for a long time, the Muttley Crew trailer, which we discussed with Shannon a couple weeks ago. And so I've been talking about it with Brian a lot and how that was my mark this week. I was going to get into that trip. And at one point, I'm walking back from somebody's site and Scully looks at me and he goes, "Hey, Shannon's over there and Mutt's messing with the generator. I think they left that back door open." Now, they keep this thing. Yeah. They keep this thing locked up. Especially, they have a conversation before the contest if I'm going to be there. Like, "Hey, Luke's coming. Make sure when you leave, you lock up every time." So I get up there on the Mutt porch and I pull the door handle and it opens, and I'm like, oh, disco inferno, baby. This is about to go down. And I walk through the door, and there is a person standing in the doorway of the bedroom. It scares the shit out of me, but it's a cardboard cutout of the king, Richard Petty. Now, you've been gotten with the king several times, right?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yeah. And now I have several times as well, but the king is staring at me. And I'm like, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I am still committed to the cause. So I walk back, and there's the bathroom. I pull on the handle. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so close. The door won't open, but it's not locked. But the door won't open. It's somehow Jimmy, and I'm looking all around, and I'm pulling on the handle. I don't want to break it because, again, I'm not there to cause damage. But I'm just like, I can't figure out why it's not open. And I look up, and there is a lock.
Padlock.
A padlock that has been fashioned on the corner of the door to the infrastructure of the trailer. The bathroom door has been padlocked. And I let out the biggest mother effer that you could ever think of. Started screaming and laughing at the same time. And I walk out the back door of that trailer, and Scully sitting there, and Jerry from Redneck, Kim and Josephine, and they're all dying laughing. And here comes Mutton, the biggest damn grin on his face. He's like, "That's the Luke lock. We established that installed that this week." And I just looked at everybody, and Brian was a huge double agent in this entire situation.
What'd you call me, a turncoat?
This is a turncoat, double agent turncoat. Got me. And it turns out that this had been discussed for quite some time.
Oh, yeah. Man, this was so good. I mean, and the generator thing couldn't have happened. I mean, you never want generator problems at a barbecue contest, right? But that couldn't have happened at a better time because it just teed it up. You know, it teed it up, pun intended for Pinehurst there, but it teed it up. And I was like, oh, and Mutt said, now is the time.
He had FaceTimed you earlier in the week, right? He
called me Wednesday night, which, you know, it's not unusual for us to talk a time or two during the week, especially barbecue week. But Wednesday, it was like 9 o'clock. It was late and on a Wednesday. And I answered the phone, and he was like, I'm getting ready to FaceTime you. And he FaceTimed me, and he was like, I present you the Luke lock. He shows me this bracket thing he's fabricated and put the padlock up at the top of the door. And he was like, we got to make this happen this weekend. And I think a couple weeks ago, I had suggested so this Richard Petty cardboard cutout, they actually got at a barbecue contest some years ago, 5-6 years ago, at an auction, like a silent auction or something.
Yeah.
And they bought that thing for like $20 or something. And I was like, you got to put the king in there. I said, that's going to scare the shit out of him when he gets in there. And so then he come up with that plan of pulling the screen to separate the bedroom, bathroom from the kitchen area. And the only thing we didn't do, which is my fault, is I planned on, I forgot to bring one of my deer cameras, and we were going to mount it up in the corner and set it on video mode and video the whole thing. But I forgot to bring the daggone camera. But
that would have been the best TikTok video of all time.
Oh man, I've got So when I came into the trailer, when you were started screaming, I was videoing the whole time, and I've got that whole thing. It was some of the most fun. I'll listen to it yesterday. I finally penetrated the lair.
They got in the inner sanctum. It was denied.
What am I going to do?
Oh, wow. It was just a great weekend, but that's the story we'll leave you guys with.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out the specials from the Kansas City Barbecue Store, barbecuedata.com. Make sure you follow Smokin Skullies. He's still on a heater. He's still riding her.
Yeah. Having a decent year.
You got Kannapolis this weekend?
No, not doing Kannapolis. I think this is the first year I've ever missed Kannapolis. We are going to the Kentucky Derby.
That's right.
Yep. So we're flying out tomorrow morning.
ladies and gentlemen, you have got to keep your eye on Facebook because my man here is going to have the bow tie, the full suit, all the
bow
all
tie,
the
plaid jacket. I'll be looking fresh. Fresh.
Can't wait to see Ashley's hat too. It's going to be amazing. All right, my friend. Well, thank you.
All right, buddy. We'll see y'all. Thanks,
We'll see
y'all.
y'all
Thanks for
soon.
having me again. Always love it.
Absolutely.
Talk soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with all your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke YouTube channel as well. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedenka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke, LLC. All rights reserved.
Old Virginia.